Okay, imagine you've got a pounding headache. You pop a Tylenol, and within 20 minutes, the throbbing just stops. But have you ever actually stopped to wonder how that happens? I mean, that tiny pill doesn't have a brain, it doesn't have a GPS map of your body, so how does it know exactly how to stop your pain?
Well, the secret isn't magic, it's molecular mechanics. And today, we're going to decode the invisible biological machines that literally keep you alive. We're going to explore exactly how the everyday medicines sitting right there in your bathroom cabinet are able to manipulate them.
So by the end of this explainer, you are going to understand exactly what enzymes are. You'll know the specific step-by-step mechanics of how they speed up chemical reactions, and you'll see exactly how things like pharmaceutical drugs and even your morning vitamins control them.
All right, let's dive right into Section 1, the secret to fast reactions.
To really understand enzymes, we first have to tackle a fundamental problem. Left to their own devices, the chemical reactions keeping our cells alive are just way too slow. You see, every chemical reaction requires an initial push to get started. Think of it like trying to push a massive, heavy boulder up a steep hill before it can finally roll down the other side. In chemistry, that initial push is what we call activation energy. It's the energy you need to reach the transition state, which is the point where chemical bonds can finally break and reform. Well, enzymes act as molecular catalysts. Their entire job in life is to simply lower that barrier to entry. They literally shrink the hill, making it so the reaction can happen incredibly fast.
Now, take a look at this, because this clears up a super common trap students fall into. Notice how the left side shows that enzymes change the activation energy required to start the reaction. But look at the right side. They absolutely do not change the overall free energy outcome of the reaction itself. They don't change whether a reaction releases energy or absorbs energy overall. They're basically just giving you a massive shortcut from point A to point B.
Moving on to Section 2, how enzymes actually work.
So, where does this chemical magic actually go down? We have to zoom in on the physical mechanics of the molecule, specifically a spot called the active site. Now, for a long time, scientists believed in the lock-and-key theory, which you can see summarized on the left. The old idea was that an enzyme and its target molecule, which we call the substrate, fit together perfectly in one rigid instantaneous step, like a literal metal key sliding into a lock. But modern science has a much better, more refined view. It's called induced fit. So instead of a rigid locking key, think of it more like a dynamic hug between two people. When the enzyme and substrate come together, they interact, they adjust, and they shift their shape slightly to find that absolutely perfect, maximized binding arrangement.
Let's walk through this step by step so you can really visualize it. Step 1. The substrate enters the active site. Because enzymes are proteins, this active site has a very specific microenvironment made up of different amino acids. Step 2. The enzyme shifts its shape to embrace the substrate. Yep, that's that dynamic induced fit hug we just talked about. Step 3. The enzyme creates the perfect environment to literally contort the substrate's chemical bonds. This lowers the activation energy and catalyzes the reaction. And finally, Step 4. The brand new products are released into the cell.
Okay, hold on, wait. This is absolutely crucial. Here's a quick question that trips up so many people. Do enzymes get used up or permanently changed by these massive chemical reactions they're causing? Just take a second to check your own intuition on this.
Well, the answer is no, they absolutely do not. The second an enzyme releases its newly formed products, it snaps right back to its exact original state, entirely unchanged. It is immediately ready to grab the very next substrate and do the whole thing all over again. This endless reusability, it's one of the ultimate hallmark properties of an enzyme.
Which brings us to Section 3, controlling enzyme activity.
So think about it. If enzymes are incredibly fast and they're infinitely reusable, how on earth does your body stop them from just running completely out of control? Well, your cells act like molecular traffic cops. There are two main ways they stop an enzyme in its tracks. Column 1 here shows competitive inhibition. This is a direct block. An inhibitor molecule physically matches the shape of the active site and just parks right in it, directly blocking the actual substrate from getting inside. It's literally competing for the same parking spot. But in column 2, we see noncompetitive or allosteric inhibition. Here, the inhibitor binds to a completely different location on the enzyme, way far away from the active site. But, and here's the crazy part, its binding causes the entire enzyme to change its shape. It essentially collapses the active site from afar, meaning the substrate just can't fit anymore.
Now let's connect this right back to real life and that pounding headache from our opening hook. Remember the Tylenol? It turns out most pharmaceutical drugs are really just cleverly designed, highly targeted enzyme inhibitors engineered in a lab.
Statins, for example, the drugs that millions of people take every day to lower their cholesterol, they are competitive inhibitors. They block an enzyme called HMG-CoA reductase, which is the exact machine your body uses to build cholesterol. And the Tylenol? It acts as an inhibitor to an enzyme called cyclooxygenase. It completely shuts down the specific enzymatic pathway that causes inflammation and pain.
Next up, Section 4, Vitamins and Enzyme Helpers.
But hey, it's not always about stopping enzymes, right? Sometimes they actually need a push to get going. So here's another quick question for you to check your understanding. We constantly hear that we need to eat a balanced diet and get our vitamins, but biologically speaking, down at a microscopic cellular level, why do our cells actually need vitamins to survive?
The answer shows just how wildly interconnected our biology really is. You see, many enzymes are actually incomplete straight out of the box. They won't work optimally, or sometimes they won't work at all, unless they have non-protein helper molecules attached to them. We break these helpers into two categories. First, we have cofactors. These are inorganic ions, like iron or magnesium. For instance, the enzyme that literally builds your DNA requires a bound zinc ion just to function. Second, we have coenzymes. These are organic helper molecules. And guess what the most common sources of coenzymes are in the human body? Dietary vitamins. Vitamin C, for example, is a literal coenzyme that is physically required for the enzymes that build collagen in your body. So vitamins aren't just a vague concept of being healthy, they are the physical ignition keys for your cellular machinery.
And finally, Section 5, the built-in master switch.
Building toward the climax of our explainer here, we're going to look at honestly one of the most elegant, complex ways the cell regulates its own metabolism, and it does it without any outside help. It's a concept called feedback inhibition. This is a brilliant system where the final end product of a long metabolic assembly line loops all the way back around to act as an inhibitor to one of the very first enzymes in that exact same pathway. So the product literally slows down its own production. It's just a stunning evolutionary adaptation for maximizing energy efficiency, preventing the cell from wasting precious resources, making something it already has plenty of. And this perfectly illustrates the concept in action, the ATP example. So ATP is your cellular energy currency. When you break down sugar, you produce ATP through a multi-step enzymatic pathway. But when your cell suddenly has plenty of ATP, that abundant ATP molecule itself acts as an allosteric inhibitor to the exact upstream enzymes that are breaking down the sugar. The energy literally acts as its own off switch. When your ATP levels eventually drop back down, the inhibition stops and the sugar breakdown fires right back up again. It is perfect, built-in efficiency.
All right, before we wrap up, let's quickly summarize our core learning promise. Enzymes lower the activation energy required to start reactions. They adapt to substrates dynamically using an induced fit. Their activity is tightly controlled by competitive and allosteric inhibitors, which, as we learned, is the exact mechanism behind everyday drugs like Tylenol and statins. Your dietary vitamins act as those absolutely crucial helper coenzymes to turn these machines on, and elegant processes like feedback inhibition prevent cellular waste. As our source text states so powerfully, understanding how enzymes work and how they can be regulated is a key principle behind developing many pharmaceutical drugs. Every single time we decode an enzyme, we unlock a potential cure, moving from invisible atomic interactions all the way up to whole-body medical applications. So, I'll leave you with this final provocative thought. With thousands of complex enzymes in the human body still not fully understood, what life-saving molecular machine do you think scientists are going to target next? Keep asking questions, and I'll see you